So what we're reporting on today is Alton Towers investing in a Paddington Bear area for 2020. Hello there guys, my name is Coach Chai, YouTube channel Doncaster born but built for Theme Park News, and welcome to a Theme Park Newsroom update from the Alton Towers Resort. Now before we get started, we're just going to sort of recap what we did yesterday and what else is coming today. So basically starting off with yesterday's videos, so we uploaded a lot of videos yesterday from the likes of Blackpool Pleasure Beach with their Journey to Hell Freak Nights news, Magic Mountain 2021 rumour at Six Flags, and of course Trips Drill 2020 coaster news as well. So plus many more as well. So you know, more than 3 videos is fantastic for yesterday. Not as much theme park news coming out today so far, unless something pops up late afternoon. But today we're going to be releasing 2 Halloween updates from Chessington World of Adventures, like a full lineup announcement, and that's pretty much the last sort of full lineup announcement video we'll be doing. Next year we'll expand on the full lineup announcements. We're doing more than just Alton Towers, Thorpe Park, Chessington, you know, Twin Lakes Extreme Scream Park, Howler Scream. We're doing more than that. We're going to expand. To be fair, I got a comment on a Six Flags video, I believe, that said, will you do Six Flags Fright Fest? Fright Fest lineups will be, I'll be doing full lineup announcements for Fright Fest next year as well at all the Six Flags parks. So stay tuned next year for full lineup announcements for Six Flags Fright Fest events. So they're going to be coming next year to expand on the Halloween updates. But this update is a Theme Park Newsroom update from the Alton Towers Resort. Now, the rumours still swirling around is that Cloud Cuckoo Land will be closing in the next couple of weeks and closing off from the rest of the public. Now, first of all, I'm going to touch on that to start off with. I do believe they should have a closing ceremony, because if this is going to be an IP coming in to replace Cloud Cuckoo Land as a whole for next year, I do believe that there should be a closing ceremony just to let, you know, big children like myself, and I know all the people that had close connections with the original theme of Land of Make Believe, Cred Street and Cloud Cuckoo Land, just to say goodbye to the old place. You know, there might not be as many attractions as there was, you know, back then, 10 years ago, but it still should be a place to cherish, a place to remember. If I am down at Alton Towers Scarefest this year and it is closed off by then, I will do a construction update on Cloud Cuckoo Land and the whole situation around there. If it is closed by Scarefest, and if I am going to Scarefest, I'm not too sure if I am yet, but I'm definitely excited for Scarefest for one main reason, and that will be one of the videos coming later on today from the attic Terror of the Towers, so a bit of a teaser there. Now moving on to one of the rumoured themes and IPs swirling around the database at the minute, and that is Paddington Bear. Now of course this all started with the Please Bear With Us sort of tagline as part of the construction fence and the start of the 2020 teaser campaign. Now I have linked in the description down below the official 2020 website. I believe it's altontowers.com/2020. That's linked in the description down below, so make sure you go and check out that website. Nothing really to show for it at the minute, just the fact that they're saying they're unpacking some new experiences for 2020. Stay tuned. You can sign up to the Alton Towers newsletter to keep up to date with the latest updates. I know I'm signed up to the newsletter, so I can keep up to date with the latest updates, so fingers crossed we'll get something in the winter season of some form of announcement, so hopefully that will come pretty soon. You can tell that Alton Towers Dungeon wasn't as big of an addition as maybe say a different kind of dark ride, because of course that was announced in August last year, so it's been over a year since the Alton Towers Dungeon was announced. So we can tell this is going to be a bigger project than this year's edition, so I am quite excited about that. Now going back to that tagline, Please Bear With Us, gives us the impression of a Paddington Bear IP. Now I'm going to be quite personal here and say my childhood was based around those Paddington Bear stories. I loved getting to someone to read them to me as a kid. I loved the Paddington Bear stories. I haven't watched the Paddington films yet. I know they've released a new, they released one a couple of years ago, and I know they released a second film. I'm not too sure about a third one. I think a third one might be in the works. I'm not too sure about that one, but I do believe that a Paddington Bear area could be the most likely IP coming into Cloud Cuckoo Land next year. Now, of course, let's sort of analyse the situation of the attractions in the area. So you've got the House of Monsters side, that's already been boarded up. And that, to be fair, with the rumours that Cloud Cuckoo Land will be closing in the next couple of weeks, that falls on from my theory from an earlier video about a month or two ago. It was quite a while ago. It was the speculation of Cloud Cuckoo Land closing over the summer. That was my theory, where I talked about how the closing of House of Monsters, because that doesn't operate in the summer season, that's only Scarefest, so with that not coming back, they managed to border that off, and then once Scarefest starts, and the more family stuff will be over towards Tower Street, maybe CBeebies Land will do some stuff as well. I know they've got some family stuff lined up for that as well. Make sure you go check out the Scarefest website for any stuff about how family attractions, and then you can always check the video that we did about the announcement of the full Scarefest sign up for the scare attractions, for the more scarier stuff. Make sure you check the website as well for the family stuff. So that'll be further down the front of the park. And with Cloud Cuckoo Land being near empty, that means they'll close it off in the next couple of weeks before Scarefest starts, or inside the first week of Scarefest. And to be fair, my theory in that video earlier on was that they were going to close off House of Monsters first because it wasn't an operating attraction in the summer season, and then when Halloween kicked in, they could close the rest of the area off through both entrances, both of the two entrances. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Cloud Cuckoo Land is basically right near to Hex, the Legend of the Towers, which is the Vekoma Madhouse, and they've got two entrances to Cloud Cuckoo Land. They've got the main entrance, which is next to where Alton Towers Dungeon is now. There's like these new colourful walls that sort of recently put in over the last couple of years, with the new Cloud Cuckoo Land logo on the wall, to sort of block off the old Tumbling Toadstool site down one end and sort of give you a bit of a colourful walkway around House of Monsters and round the corner into the rest of the attractions in the area. So, you know, I've got a feeling they'll block off that with the same teaser campaign they've used to block off House of Monsters, you know, unpacking new experiences. Please bear with us. They'll put that same fence along the entrance, so they'll block off the theatre, the frog hopper, the carousel, the driving school. And like I said with the driving school, they'll do the same with the second entrance, which is the archway, which basically takes you through to driving school, and it's right down to, if you walk down past that archway, you'll have Hex sort of down there. So you can either go down towards Hex, or you can turn up that way and forward through this archway to get to the driving school. So the Cuckoo Cars driving school entrance, the archway near Hex, that will probably be closed off as well in the next couple of weeks, so that construction work can begin on the rest of the area. Now, with the Paddington Bear IP swirling around the rumour mill, it's important to think where you could be placing refurbished attractions or new attractions. So I think the driving school will stay. It wasn't long, it was only a few years ago since they did the TLC work. They did the same with Hex, they reopened them both. The Peugeot driving school became the Cuckoo Cars driving school. So that will stay, it will just receive a new theme. It will just receive like a re-theme with the new IP that's coming in. Because I'm pretty sure it's going to be an IP if it's not Paddington Bear. It'll definitely be an IP of some sort. So I think the driving school is going to stay. I know many people wanted it to go for a new coaster. There was loads of talk about people wanting Spinball to get moved up there, but I think with regulations and things like that, I think Spinball will just stay as it is for now and just get removed when CBeebies Land eventually takes over Adventureland. So Spinball won't be coming up to Cloud Cuckoo Land, just put that to bed right now, in my opinion. So driving school will stay, get a new theme. The carousel, that will stay, get a new theme. Or they could remove it. There's no, you know, the carousel is quite popular still, but not as much as it was back in the day. So, you know, and when I'm talking about back in the day, because this is a more recent carousel compared to the old Cred Street carousel that was removed years ago. So, you know, in comparison to the other carousels they had here at the park, this one's not as historic as the other ones, so there is a chance they could remove the Gallopers Carousel maybe, because it could block off some kind of new view they could be going for, I don't know. So again, could be interesting to think about. So the carousel could be either rethemed or going. Frog Hopper, I think that's going. I think that's going to be going. I think with Peter Rabbit down in CBeebies Land, I think the Frog Hopper will be demolished, or it will just get sent to another park as parts for one of their family drop towers, because I know the family drop towers at Chessington and the Lumber Jump at Thorpe Park, maybe they'll repaint Frog Hopper in storage, then send it over as for spare parts for Thorpe Park's Lumber Jump. in the Old Town section, but to be fair, I did hear some stuff that, you know, Old Town could be up for development, so they could move Lumber Jump and Timber Tugboat to a different area of the park for redevelopment of Old Town in the next few years. So again, we're not too sure about that, so it should be interesting to follow developments from that over the next few years. That's the good thing about Theme Park News. You can follow it over the next couple of years, or the next few years, or however long it takes. You know, we've been reporting on stuff this year from new attractions for 2024. So, you know, it's going to be taking a long time. So yeah, Frog Hopper will go. That won't stay in the area. So rest in peace, Frog Hopper. That'll be going. Once that area gets blocked off, they will topple Frog Hopper down. If they're not going to use it as spare parts for the Lumber Jump or the drop towers at Chessington, the family ones, not the new thrill one for 2021 that's been planned. Make sure you check out the video on Chessington for that. For all the details on that. Yeah, if they're not going to use it for spare parts for the family drop towers and the other UK parks in the Merlin chain, they'll just demolish Frog Hopper. They'll just demolish it. So rest in peace. That'll be going hopefully. And yeah, it's going to be sad because it has been at the park for a very, very long time. It opened, I believe, in 1999, if I'm not mistaken. Comment down below if I'm wrong. I think it's 1999 at some point. I know they opened Ugland in the Festival Park section at that point, but I believe Frog Hopper was introduced originally in 1999 when Cred Street was introduced. Sort of in the Cred Street days, and then when Cloud Cuckoo Land came in, it just sort of received a bit more of a spruce up. So yeah, it's quite an old family ride. So I think it's had its time, and I think its time's passed, unfortunately. So rest in peace, Frog Hopper. That'll be going, as well as possibly 50/50 Carousel. You got the theatre space. Now again, you know, that was last used 2015, 2016 when Ice Age 4D Experience ended. I'm guessing the IP sort of ran out and they didn't want to do anything with that space apart from move the Frog Hopper from its original facade location in front of the old Nickelodeon Out of Control, which I believe is storage space, but more on that a little bit later in the video because I've got a bit of a theory for that one. And of course they moved it in front of the theatre space and created a bit of a colourful facade. I liked the colour that they did with the theatre space after Ice Age left. But it was kind of sad not to see a show in there. But for now, at least, it was a good facade for the Frog Hopper. Then, of course, you've got the old Tumbling Toadstool site. Now, of course, some people will be saying, what about the space behind the theatre, the old coaster corner, where, of course, those of you who were around in the 90s, I wasn't, but I did the research, there was two coasters that create a coaster corner in that space that was removed towards the end of the 90s. The Four-Man Bob and the Alton Mouse, which was like your Wild Mouse coaster. I believe that coaster has now been relocated, and of course the old Four-Man Bob from Alton Towers was relocated to a few different parks as well along its timeline. So, you know, that was two old coasters that was removed towards the late 90s. And that coaster corner space was sat abandoned and just didn't do anything. I don't think they're going to do anything with that space unless they get some special planning application, but unless it's something that doesn't create too much noise. I don't think they'll use that coaster corner space again, just for the fact that I do believe that there's some regulations with that site now, so I do think that nothing will happen with that. It'll just be the Tumbling Toadstool site, the theatre space, the House of Monsters space, that's the old Wobble World location that's already been boarded up for construction to start. So I'm guessing they're already doing work on the inside, which could into a walkthrough attraction, in my personal opinion, unless we see some kind of dark ride manufacturer on site in the near future. You never know. I mean, stranger things have happened. You've got, you know, Carousel releasing the trains for their Underland dark ride at Leesburg next year. So, you know, could they be extending the building out and, you know, getting Carousel in to do a dark ride? You never know. Because Underland looked pretty good on the concept trailer from Leesburg for next year. More on that in the Europe 2020 attractions analysis video coming next year with the new thumbnail design. Pretty cool. So yeah, there's plenty of space to work with. There's also, I don't know if you guys remember it, but it was like a toy shop, I think, in the days of the Land of Make Believe. But it's like this huge, well, not huge, but it's a big building opposite the driving school that was open sort of during the days of the Land of Make Believe. I think it was the old dolls sort of museum as well. I think it was like a doll museum. Then it was like a toy shop in the Land of Make Believe days. I'm not quite sure on that, but I know it's a big building opposite driving school. Are they going to do something like that, like a massive new restaurant, and just keep the Burger Kitchen and the dungeon as a new sort of mini dungeon plaza, and then have a new main restaurant for the new area? Again, we don't know. And that's just sort of the thing I wanted to end this video on, really. You know, what attractions could we see if this was a Paddington Bear theme? Well, I have to do the research on Paddington, so I'm not quite sure exactly what parts of the story they could turn into attractions. However, I think in terms of whatever comes in, whether it's IP, original, Paddington, whatever, I think in terms of attractions, you're looking at House of Monsters, that Wobble World, House of Monsters site. That'll become either a walk-through dark ride or just a walk-through attraction, or maybe a late dark ride to come in with a new dark ride system. Again, very unlikely, but I think it's more likely to be a walk-through attraction. Look at the likes of the Charlie and Lola in CBeebies Land. Again, we're looking at something similar to that, but with the theme they're going for. Driving School, that'll get rethemed. Carousel, rethemed or going. Frog Hopper, I think, is going. The Tumbling Toadstool site's an interesting one, because I could see a good flat ride on there. A family thrill ride or just a family ride. Maybe like an air race. I thought that would fit the park really well if they're going to go for something new with the flat ride lineup, because the flat ride lineup has been lacking ever since the removal of the likes of Submission and Ripsaw. So all they've got right now is the Blade and Enterprise, which of course Enterprise recently reopening in the summer after some more extensive maintenance work. So we know Enterprise is going to be staying for at least a few more years with the sort of paint jobs and the sort of things they've been doing to it. We know Blade had some steel structure work done in the closed season before the start of the 2019 season, so we know that Blade's staying for a few years yet. So you sort of need that third flat ride to complement the lineup. So again, I think an air race would fit really, really well in that Tumbling Toadstool space. Obviously, we knew from an earlier video months ago that I reported on. Make sure you go check that out in the Alton Towers playlist. It was Nemesis Subterra and Tumbling Toadstool being announced never to return to the Alton Towers Resort. So we know that both of them aren't coming back. Anyway, I'll probably do another video if there's going to be any news on what's replacing Subterra permanently, if it's just going to be a Scarefest building or not. But yeah, that Toadstool site I think will be fitted with a new flat ride. It will not be Toadstool coming back unless they make a late decision. We've seen weirder things happen. The theatre space, that'll become, I think if it's Paddington Bear, it'll be a Paddington 4D experience. If not, whatever comes in, it'll be a 4D experience. They won't go with a live show unless I'm mistaken. But I think at the minute the most likely option for that space is a 4D cinema experience themed to whatever the area is, whether it's going to be an original film from SimWorks or whether it's going to be SimWorks teaming up with Paddington or whatever IP they're going to go for and sort of bring in a 4D experience themed to that. So maybe if it's going to be Paddington, they'll sort of, I think the area, if they're going to go with Paddington, is going to be related more to the book, and then use the 4D experience as a hint or as a tribute to the film, basically. The live action film they've been doing in the last few years. So I think that'll be like the only reference to the film, unless they do like a Paddington meet and greet area next to the cinema, where the old Sid Snowball's game was, when he used to meet Sid and Scrat around the park as well. I think they'll probably do something like that, especially for the opening day. I think they'll do like an opening day sort of walk around meet and greet with Paddington Bear, if it is Paddington Bear coming to the park. And I think they'll dress him up like the film rather than the book. So I think, again, that'll be a hint to the film and it'll relate to the 4D cinema, if that's the theme they're going to go for. The old toy shop opposite the driving school, that big building that I was talking about, I think that could be the big restaurant for the new area. I think a big new restaurant dining experience so that the Bird Kitchen can stay dungeon themed, if you know what I mean. Give the Bird Kitchen a paint up, get a bit more of a paint up to sort of relate to the dungeon, like it's an extra sort of touch. Maybe even rename it to the Tavern, the Burger Tavern, because I think that would be good. Or Dungeon Burgers, that would be cool. So sort of make that look like a dungeon plaza and keep it separate from the new area. Now, Nickelodeon Out of Control space. Now, I believe, like I said, that is a storage space, but I think they could build a new storage space somewhere closer than that in the park and open a new attraction in that area. Now, of course, we haven't seen a new attraction in that Out of Control building since the Out of Control attraction, which is like a funhouse attraction, left the park in 1997. So, that'll be, 23 years since the attraction was there. So, I think there's definitely potential for a new attraction, but again, that could be very unlikely. It could just be facade work again. So that's just a look at what they could do. Like I said, the rumour at the minute is Paddington Bear with the IP, but I think there's still possibilities for anything else. So Make sure you go and visit the website and sign up to the Alton Towers newsletter for the latest updates. Make sure you keep checking the website now and then, see if they haven't released anything new onto the website. But thank you very much for watching this Theme Park Newsroom update. My name is Coach Sharp. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you never miss a YouTube video. And for now, guys, keep living the coast of life, and I'll see you guys in the next video soon. Take care. Have an awesome day, my friends.